Hello and good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and invite some people on here. Alrighty, so we've been going over the book Failing Forward by John Maxwell, and today we are on chapter 3. So if you failed, are you a failure? So failure isn't so bad if it doesn't attack the heart. Success is all right if it doesn't go to the head. And tell yourself, I'm not a failure. I failed at doing something, and there's a huge difference between those two. So every genius could have been a failure. So all great achievers are given multiple reasons to believe they are failures, but in spite of that, they still persevere. So failing forward is not a false self-esteem. So approach on how to encourage and lead others when it comes to that. So first, you want to value people. Second, you want to praise the effort that they're putting into what they're doing. And the third, reward performance. All the people who are striving to work, even if they mess up a few times, if they're doing the activity, you want to praise them for the activity and say, you know what, it's gonna happen for you, it's about to happen, but don't give up just yet, because the moment you are about to give up is when that's gonna take off. So you want to give all the people on your team the encouragement. So there's 7 abilities needed to fail forward, and number 1 is achievers reject rejection. So people who don't give up and keep trying because they don't base their self-worth on their performance. So instead, they have an internally based self-image where rather than saying I'm a failure, they say I missed that one or I made a mistake. Now, to keep the right perspective, take responsibility for your actions, but don't take failure so personally. Number 2, achievers see failures as temporary. So people who personalize failure see the problem as a hole that they're permanently stuck in. But achievers will see that as just a temporary thing. It's not going to stop from going off and doing what you want to do. Number 3, achievers see failures as isolated incidents. So when achievers fail, they see it as a momentary event, not a lifelong epidemic, and it's not personal. If you want to succeed, you don't let a single incident color the rest of your view of what you want for yourself. Number 4, achievers keep expectations realistic. So the greater the goal and the desire to achieve, the greater the mental preparation required for overcoming obstacles and persevering over the long haul. You're gonna run into them, so you need to be regardless of what you plan, who you're working with, there's gonna be bumps along the way. Anytime you travel, for instance, like if you travel in your hometown, like if you go to the beach, you're probably not gonna have an incident because you're used to going there. However, if you go outside of town, if you go to another state, you're likely to run into a few things like, oh shoot, we forgot the cooler, or we forgot this, we forgot that, oh my God, we took the wrong turn. It happens. anytime you start something new, you're gonna have some bumps on the road, but being ready for those bumps is gonna help you go further. Number 5, achievers focus on their strengths. Don't focus so much on your weaknesses. Focus at what you're good at. And the cool thing is with as many people as you're going to go through in network marketing, you're going to be able to find the people eventually that their strengths are your weaknesses. And those are the people that you want on your team, because not everybody is going to like you and necessarily want to work with you, but they may be able to relate better to somebody else. So a lot of times when we recruit people, I'm like, you know what? We're good, but you would get along really good with this person. And I always connect them with another person on the team, which I know they'll click. Number 6, achievers vary approaches to achievement. So just because it's not broken doesn't mean it can't be improved. We do things very different in network marketing compared to most people. It's typically in network marketing, it's send a bunch of links to people, send videos, and just drip, 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 drip. A lot of people like to use Chinese water torture for some reason to try to get their product or their service in front of people. We don't like to do that. So we're kind of the oddballs in the industry, because whenever we sit down with people, I'm like, if I can't show you everything, I show you nothing. And I use the do me a favor script, which we teach in the school. It's, can you do me a favor? I want to show you what it is that I'm doing. So if you run into the right person, you can refer me. And then I show them the presentation. So that's something that we do differently, and we get harassed about it all the time. They're like, well, that's not what we're told to do. And I'm like, I know. And how has that been going for you so far? So that's a few little things that we teach in the school. And number 7, achievers bounce back. So they are able to keep moving forward no matter what happens. Sometimes you get really hit real hard and you get the wind knocked out of you, and sometimes it may take you a few seconds to get back up. However, you have to keep getting back up and keep rolling. So remove you from failure. So if you've been thinking of yourself as a failure, and you can break yourself out of the negative thinking pattern, look at an area of your life where you have repeatedly failed and do the following. First, you want to examine your expectations of that area, write them down, and are they realistic? Like huge numbers. When people first come in, they're like, I want to make $1 million this week. I'm like, okay, well, that's not really realistic. Why don't we set a goal that is more achievable, something that's going to stretch you, but when you're first learning, you need to set realistic expectations. Like, that's not going to happen. So you want to make sure that you're setting good goals, so that way we can keep you on a pattern of succeeding. And once you succeed in that, once you get that down, then we'll set your goals higher, and then we keep going. Number 2, find new ways to do your work. So brainstorm at least 20 new approaches and then try at least half of them. Now, John says that in network marketing, you want to find one good thing and you focus on that. A huge problem I see in network marketing is I find a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I'm trying to see a bunch of different ways to do this, and I just want to study. And I'm like, okay, but you're not getting anywhere with just studying. Just studying the material isn't going to get you anywhere. You have to be practicing, because the best knowledge that you can learn is actually going out into the field. Because you can read out of a book all you want, you could go to all the seminars, all the trainings, but unless you put that knowledge to use, it's not actually going to help you. Because once you put it to use, you can then track and say, okay, this worked really great, this not so much, and this we'll never use again. But until you're actually using it out in the field, you're never going to know these things. Focus on your strengths, which we've already gone over that, and vow to bounce back. You kind of have to have this self-talk with you before you get started in something, and sometimes it helps when you have a mentor. If you really are that down, and if you can't seem to get back up, who do you have that is able to talk to you and get you moving again? And this is where we always ask for permission. I'm like, hey, do I have your permission when you get to this point? What do you want me to say, or how would you like me to come to you and tell you, hey, we need to get going again. So that's basically what I got for this chapter today. Jeff, what do you have for this chapter?
On failure overall, I mean, what Brandy talked about is just being out in the field. If you don't get out in the field, if you're not working specifically on that skill, you're not going to learn it. And failing is part of learning it. People think that they can study it to the point where they won't get anything wrong. That's really not the point. Going out and saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things, with the wrong tone, with the wrong words, in the wrong order, is all part of kind of figuring it out. We recommend scripts to use when prospecting. We recommend a certain order when presenting. By doing those things, what happens is you get good rather than you not only get good at what you're doing, but you become more confident in what you're doing, and it becomes more part of you. Brady mentioned one of the biggest issues today in direct sales network marketing is everybody is trying to make things easier. And the reality is if you understand why they try to make things easier, it was because this is some hard work. And people don't want to work that hard anymore. I asked a funny question. I was going to put it up online, but I decided not to. And the question was, you should go ask your leadership what they did before there were tools. What did you do before there were tools? And what you'll find is the reason most of them are so good at what they did, or what they do now, is because they spent all their time without tools, learning how to do everything. And now that they have tools, everything works so much better because they already have influence. How do you get influence? You get influence by failing a lot. You're going through a ton of people who, in the beginning, it's like as you go through, even though it's not working, you're kind of, graduated scale, you're raising your level of belief, you're raising your level of confidence. That's what failure does, is ways not to do it. And by knowing a bunch of ways not to do it, eventually you start figuring out what does work. And it takes a while, focusing on your strengths. In the beginning, you don't want to focus so much on, because people are like, well, my strength is sitting home at reading. Well, that's not necessarily what he meant. Well, my strength is sitting at home watching TV. My strength is wishing somebody else would do it. A lot of people have those kind of strengths. That's not the strengths he's talking about. He's talking about, if you're introverted, have a lot of one-on-one conversations. If you're extroverted, have a lot of one-on-one conversations. Some of them can be over the phone. Some of them can be in person. If you're better in person and you're an extrovert, then meet people, set up your schedule. People are like, well, I'm really not good at scheduling and I'm really not good at keeping track of things. I like what John talked about, and I'm trying to think of which book he recommended. I know he was talking about the 21 Laws of Leadership, but I think it's the 21 Qualities of a Leader. And the 21 Qualities of a Leader, he's like, the 21 qualities of a leader are all necessary. You have to have. He goes, you're going to be better at some of them than others. Just like the 21 laws. He goes, the 21 laws, you're going to be better at some of them than others. But just because you're not good at one is an excuse not to do it and not to learn it. And I think that's where a lot of people, when they read, strengths, like, I don't have that, so I don't work on it. There are some skill sets that you have to learn how to do. Here's the thing, you never have to be excellent at the process we're talking about. The process being contacting, the process being setting an appointment, the process being presenting, handing out third-party material, and then having a questionnaire or follow-up sheet. I basically put together a list of questions that the closings, the amount of people we're signing up now has increased so much because I've got a list of exactly what to say in the order to say it to be able to close somebody out. And it's kind of like logical progression of what needs to happen to be able to get a sign up. And if you ask those questions in that order, I had I say newer recruit. I have a recruit and a team member that's been involved for a while, but hasn't personally signed up a ton of people. I mean, when I say a ton, probably not more than 25. And he's like, okay, I'll try it. And he tried it, and he was like, man, they said they're going to do this and get started on that. That was so cool. And so that's all being written out, so that way every single time we can use the same thing. As your organization uses the words that somebody else has gone out and failed and failed and failed and failed and failed until they found the right order to do things. When everybody uses that, once somebody finds it, then everybody can succeed so much faster. So that's kind of what we're about. That's kind of what I got out of this. Tomorrow is Wednesday. And is tomorrow Wednesday?
Yes,
Yeah, tomorrow's Wednesday. So that will be Bess. This show will actually be on her page. And we will start a watch party and forward that out to everybody. What else?
And I think that's it. So if you guys would like the notes for this chapter, I'm going to put a link in the comments below. And go follow us on YouTube. Each one of these videos is going to be uploaded there. So that way, if you'd like to go back and take some notes, you're more than welcome to, or you can just grab ours. But I still recommend you buying this book because there's certain examples in here that I did not go over that you guys would actually really enjoy and may actually help you. So with that, we will see, well, you will see Bess tomorrow, but we will see you on Thursday.